let me, in a couple of minutes, let me just introduce all of you to just a simple understanding of concept. All of you have targets, things that you're after. If you're gonna get a new result, if you're gonna grow your business, if you're gonna be able to support your mom, if you're gonna get rid of the anxiety, if you're gonna be able to overachieve and not have all that fear inside of you, you obviously need to get a new result. You're gonna have to get new action. We all know that. You don't get new results with old actions doing the same thing. What human beings can do is amazing. What they will do is usually disappointing. It's not because we're not capable of it. It's because we don't have new actions because we get in certain emotional states that dominate us, like anxiety, like fear of failure, right? Like the fear of the loss of your mother as an example. So if you're in a state of fear, you're gonna behave very differently and get very different results than if you were in a place of being courageous or bold or warm or connected or playful, any of those. So the most important key to changing your life in any situation is to change results, you gotta change behavior, but to change behavior, you gotta change the emotional state you're in. How do you do that when you don't feel like it, right? Or it feels overwhelming? There are two ways, and I've done this with the greatest athletes in the world. I've done this with 4 different presidents of the United States. I've done it with billionaire clients. All you have to do to change your state is not try to think your way there, like I'm happy, and do a bunch of affirmations. Your brain's gonna go, BS, you are not happy, right? What you need to do is make a radical change in the way you use what we call your physiology. It's a big word, it just means the way you use your physical body. Tell me what's their posture like if they're depressed, you tell me. If you take that same person and you change the tempo at which they move, you bring their shoulders back and change their breathing pattern, if they make a faster gesture, if they speak more rapidly, it fires off a different biochemistry in you, and in that state, you will take radically different actions. In fact, I've taught this for 40 years, and about 3 years ago, Harvard finally did a study where they proved what I did worked, and they called it these power positions. And what they showed was if you stand, everyone can try this, stand up just for a moment if you want, everybody at home can try it as well. So do something really silly. Put both your hands on your hips like Wonder Woman or Superman or that stuff, right? If you stand like this and you breathe deep for just 2 minutes, what the science found was that you will absolutely increase your testosterone by 20%. Man or woman. You'll drop your cortisol, which as you know is the stress hormone, by 22%, and you're 33% more likely to take action if you wouldn't have before because fear would have stopped you. Now, I don't have people just stand like this. I have people move, use their voice, make radical changes in their bodies. You can have a seat. I know we're short on time, but you can try it later and you'll feel it after 2 minutes. Or, somebody who's, puts their arms back like this and their feet up, that'll produce the same state. It produces more certainty in you, and that certainty gets you to take different actions. So if you are in a situation, you think of the worst scenario, your mom dying, my business goes under, I never achieve at the level I need to, all the things I have anxiety about, the minute you focus on them, you go into those states of fear, and then you behave fearful, and you get lousy results. And when you get lousy results, what does it do to your brain? You go, see, I told you I couldn't do this. So how do we break out of it? We change our focus by asking better questions. Everybody in this room can try this. Just right now, answer this question in your mind. What is it in your life that you're proud of? If there's something you could feel really proud of right now by focusing on it, your children, yourself, something you accomplished, you did, how many can think of something you could feel proud of? And I don't mean fake pride, ego pride, like where you're making things up. I mean, well, you really did something you're proud of. Yeah. Good. Right now, close your eyes and focus on how it feels when you're really proud. Focus on that moment you're proud of. How do you breathe when you feel really proud? And if you're a little kid, what happens to your face when you're really proud? You don't hide it, right? There's that big smile on your face. Raise your hand if you can feel these feelings right now. Everyone here, just say "I" if you got it. Try one more real fast. Think of something that you could be really grateful for or excited. Pick either one. Something you could be grateful for, a person, a moment, or something if you wanted to that you could be excited about. Let's use excited for a moment. Okay. How many could think of something in your life that if you focused on it, you could feel excited? All right? Close your eyes. And just for a moment, all we're doing is changing your focus. Focus on what could excite you. Feel like it's really happening. Your mom's healing, you break through in the business, you're achieving the level you want. Anxiety is rid from my life. I'm on charge, I'm on top of it. How do you breathe when you feel really excited? And then try this, when you're a little kid, you probably made noises. Make a noise of excitement, a sound of excitement. Go ahead in your bodies, all of you. Do it again, One more. Open your eyes. How many feel that feeling in your body right now? Here's my question for all of you. If you focus on what you want, life has probabilities. There's no guarantees, but you increase them when you change your state. And that's really what this is all about. Learning to change your body and learning to change your focus.
One of the things I have realized, and many of us have, that If you want something out of life, if you want to change yourself, if you want to acquire something, if there's some goal that you want to reach, that is really not easy as some people will make us feel. That living your dream, changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. That living alone is just very difficult. And once we begin to come to grips with the fact that living is difficult, always something, you will never ever have a problem-free moment in life. So how do we begin to nurture that hunger? What are the characteristics or the qualities of people that are hungry? What will it take for me to get some of the things that I want? And being hungry for those things, number one, you've got to work on yourself. It's very important that you engage in an ongoing process to develop you. Spend more time on yourself than what you've been spending. It's very important. You owe that to yourself. Many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin, don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. And then there goes a second, there goes another second, there goes another second, and we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind on your dreams and your bills. So decide that you're going to take some time to work on you, that you deserve that from yourself, that your life deserves some prime time. Because you are creating your own production. As Michael Todd would say, you are the star of your show. You are the director. You're writing the script. And you will determine whether your life is a smash office hit or flop. You determine that. Working on yourself, talking to yourself. That's so very important. Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You've got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up! You've got to do this. I was going to give a presentation, and this voice inside of me saying, you can't do this. You don't have everything it takes. Shut up! I have got to do it. You get scared sometimes. Your mind will go blank on you. Some people you will allow to unnerve you, and you wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. That's why you've got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life.
Well, now, something that you're describing seems to most like you'd be much more justified in your worry if there was anything to worry about that was justified. If you can put it in the context of alignment or not, rather than outcome or not. The reason we trivialized it is because it's so easy for Esther to not let that be a big thing. She can turn that worry into something else really easily. Not so with something that's pushed your buttons. In other words, when that thought came, it wasn't just dissatisfaction, it took you into terror, because thoughts are sort of where you last left them, and things sort of started that way. It starts with something that's really simple, then it led to more and more and more and more and more. It led to a path that you don't want to go down again. The question that we want to put to you is, why would you let your mind go down that path when there's no justification for worry? You have to talk yourself into the understanding and the deliberate application of what you know about the law rather than about outcomes. We're going to give you something, and we really want you to hear this. At the time that all happened, you had a different vibrational mix, and the vibrational mix that you had going on at that time would allow the perpetuation of something like that. The vibrational mix that you've got going on now would not allow that. And let that mix keep working, staying on the satisfied side and the satisfied side, then that mix stays like it is. But let that test worry you, and let that be something that you think about a lot, then that mix could in time change. You see what we're getting at?
Yes.
It's so nice to know, and no matter what, you have control. No matter what, it doesn't matter where you are on the emotional scale, you can bring yourself back to satisfaction. We never want to make it sound like that you ever reach the point of no return. You don't. You just reach the point of harder return and more that you have to go through. You had to have a lot of experiences that caused you to launch a lot of rockets of desires. And do you know, hear this, every time you live something that you don't want, there's a counterbalancing knowing what you do want. So you're always, in terms of the spirit that you are, always maintaining that balance. You just want to do it here while you're in your physical body. And so many humans give so much credence to the reality of what is that they don't let what is change very easily. Where if someone you really care about told you that, you would feel something a lot stronger. If you sort of don't want it, then you sort of want it. And there's not really a big stake either way. It could go either way. You wouldn't feel too excited if it moves in that direction. You wouldn't feel too unhappy if it doesn't. But if you really don't want something, which means you really do want something, and it feels like it's moving in what you would call the wrong direction, you really, really feel it. And so it's true. The more you hang out in concert with your inner being, the more it will be intolerable not to hang out in concert with your inner being. What you might do in the meantime, while you're feeling like you want to continue to find the reassurance of the test, you might say, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take my inner being along. Inner being, how do you feel? Completely optimistic. Inner being, how do you feel? Interested in the contraptions. Inner being, how do you feel? Interested in these nice people that are doing this work in this place. Inner being, how do you feel? Wonderful about this beautiful day. Inner being, how do you feel? Fascinated with your magnificent body. Inner being, how do you feel? Your inner being has a whole lot that it knows and feels about you, you see. So if you're going to go, take your inner being. Don't go anywhere without your inner being. Don't go anywhere without your inner being. That's not the right statement, because you can't go anywhere without your inner being. Don't go anywhere without your knowledge that your inner being is coming along with you. And that's why it felt horrible. You thought thoughts that your inner being didn't feel. So you invited your inner being along and then didn't hang around with your inner being. See how it is? Very clarifying, yes?